After Ethan left, the farmhouse felt much quieter. Ava stood in the garden for a long moment, looking at the colorful flowers that now surrounded the yard. Every flower reminded her of him. She had only mentioned once that she loved flowers. He had remembered. She smiled to herself before carrying the pearl necklace back into the house. Martha looked up from the kitchen. He's gone. Yes. He'll probably be home late. Ava nodded. I know. You don't seem worried. Ava gently touched the jade bracelet on her wrist. He always keeps his promises. Martha smiled. My son has been like that since he was little. If he says he'll come home, he will. The two women spent the afternoon cleaning the house and arranging the new flowers around the yard. By sunset, the small farmhouse looked even more beautiful than before. Color filled every corner. Fresh flowers lined the front steps. Lavender rested beneath the windows. White roses climbed the wooden fence. Just as Ava finished watering the last flower, the sound of a car engine echoed through the quiet village. It was not Ethan. A shiny black luxury car slowly stopped outside the farmhouse. The driver's door opened. A man wearing an expensive suit stepped out. Behind him came two bodyguards. Ava's smile disappeared. She recognized him immediately. Jason, her former fiancé. He looked around the farmhouse with a small smile that did not reach his eyes. So, this is where you've been living. Martha walked over. Who are you? Jason smiled politely. My name is Jason Lewis. I'm Ava's old friend. Before Ava could speak, Martha welcomed him inside. If you're a friend, come in. Jason walked into the yard while quietly looking around. The simple farmhouse. The flower garden. The old electric tricycle. A small smile appeared on his face. So the rumors were true. You really married a farmer. Ava calmly met his eyes. What are you doing here? I came to see how you're doing. You've seen enough. You can leave now. Jason laughed softly. You're still angry. I don't blame you. But I came with good news. I don't need any. He ignored her words. The Carter family is willing to accept you back. Ava looked at him without changing her expression. I already left that family. They've changed their minds. They even said you can return whenever you want. Ava almost laughed. They only remembered me because they need something. Jason's smile slowly faded. You're smarter than before. What do they want? He hesitated for a second. There's a large investment project. They heard the Chin family knows some important business people. So, they want you to help introduce them. Ava looked at him in disbelief. They threw me away. They cut all ties with me. And now they want my help? Jason lowered his voice. Ava, they're still your family. She shook her head. No. They stopped being my family the day they watched me leave without caring whether I lived or died. Jason sighed. I knew you'd say that. He reached into his jacket and took out a bank card. There's $500,000 in this account. Take it. Come back with me. No. You don't even know what's in the village. I don't care. You could have a better life. Ava smiled calmly. I already do. Jason frowned. You really think this farmer can give you happiness? Before Ava could answer, another voice came from behind him. She doesn't need to answer that. Everyone turned. Ethan had returned. He calmly walked through the gate. His clothes were covered with dust from the warehouse, but his eyes remained calm. Jason looked him up and down. So, you're Ethan? I am. Jason stepped forward confidently. I'll be honest. I think Ava deserves better. Ethan looked at Ava. Do you want to go with him? Without even thinking, Ava walked straight to Ethan's side. No. Her answer came without the slightest hesitation. Jason's face darkened. You've only known him for a few days. And you're choosing him over your own family? Ava looked directly into his eyes. I'm choosing the people who chose me. The yard became completely silent. Even Martha's eyes became wet. Jason clenched his fists. You'll regret this. Ethan finally spoke again. I don't think she will. And I won't let her. Jason laughed coldly. You talk big for a farmer. You have no idea who you're standing against. Ethan smiled faintly. Maybe. But I do know one thing. What? My wife has already answered you. So this conversation is over. Jason stared at him for several seconds. Then he suddenly laughed. Fine. I'll leave. But don't think this is finished. The Carter family always gets what it wants. He turned and walked back toward his car. Before getting inside, he looked at Ava one last time. You'll come back. I'll wait. The luxury car slowly disappeared down the road. The peaceful village became quiet once again. Martha let out a deep breath. What an unpleasant young man. Ethan turned toward Ava. Are you all right? She nodded. I'm fine. Then, without saying another word, she reached for his hand. This time, she did not let go. Ethan looked at her with gentle surprise before quietly holding her hand in return. Neither of them noticed the black SUV parked on the hill overlooking the village. Inside sat Chloe and her mother. They had watched everything. Chloe smiled coldly. So my dear sister really thinks she's found happiness. Her mother looked toward the farmhouse with narrowed eyes. Let's see how long that happiness lasts. The driver started the engine. As the SUV slowly drove toward the Chen family home, neither woman had any idea that the people they planned to humiliate were far more powerful than anyone they had ever dared to imagine. The next morning, the village was filled with excitement. Word had spread that important guests were coming to visit the Chen family. No one knew the reason. Some said it was another business meeting. Others believed a new factory would be built nearby. Ava finished watering the flowers before walking back into the house. She noticed Martha preparing extra teacups. Are we expecting visitors? Martha smiled. Maybe. Your husband didn't tell me much. He only said we should welcome a few guests. A few? Martha laughed. You know your husband. He always says a few. Just then, Ethan walked into the house. He had already changed into a clean white shirt and dark trousers. Although he was dressed simply, he looked calm and confident. He smiled when he saw Ava. Good morning. Good morning. You look busy. I have a meeting later. He noticed the flowers beside the window. You arranged them beautifully. Ava smiled. I wanted the house to look nice. It already does. Martha pretended not to notice the two smiling at each other. Instead, she quietly walked into the kitchen. A few minutes later, the peaceful morning was interrupted by loud voices outside. Open the gate. I know Ava is here. The smile disappeared from Ava's face. She recognized the voice immediately. Chloe. Before anyone could stop her, Chloe pushed open the gate and marched into the yard. Her mother followed close behind. Both women wore expensive designer clothes and heavy jewelry. They looked completely out of place in the quiet village. So this is your new home, Chloe said with a mocking laugh. It looks even worse than I imagined. Her mother looked around the yard with clear disgust. I can't believe people actually live like this. Martha calmly stepped forward. May I ask why you're here? Chloe ignored her. Instead, she walked straight toward Ava. I'll ask you one last time. Come home. Ava calmly shook her head. I already told Jason. I have no home there anymore. Chloe crossed her arms. So you've really chosen this poor farmer over your own family. Before Ava could answer, Ethan stepped beside her. My wife has already answered that question. You should leave. Chloe looked Ethan up and down before laughing. You really think you can protect her? With what? This little farmhouse. This old tricycle. You don't even own a decent car. Ethan remained calm. We have everything we need. Chloe laughed even harder. You're funny. Her mother suddenly noticed the jade bracelet on Ava's wrist. Her eyes widened. That bracelet. She stepped closer. Where did you get it? My mother-in-law gave it to me. A countrywoman gave you a bracelet like that? Stop lying. It's the truth. Chloe reached out. Take it off. Ava stepped back. No. That bracelet belongs to me. It belongs to my family. Ava looked at her calmly. It belongs to me now. Chloe's face darkened. You stole it. I didn't. You expect me to believe farmers can afford jade like this? Martha could no longer stay silent. I gave that bracelet to my daughter-in-law. It has belonged to our family for generations. Chloe laughed loudly. You? Do you even know how much it's worth? Martha answered honestly. I never asked. It belonged to my mother. Now it belongs to Ava. Chloe looked at her mother before bursting into laughter. They're still pretending. Her mother nodded. They really don't know what they're wearing. Just then, the sound of engines echoed through the valley. 1, 2, 5, 10. More black luxury cars slowly entered the village. They drove directly toward the farmhouse. Every villager stopped to watch. The convoy filled the narrow road. Dozens of men and women in business suits quickly stepped out. Each of them carried gifts and documents. The moment they saw Ethan, every single one bowed respectfully. Good morning, Mr. Chun. We apologize for arriving early. The entire yard became silent. Chloe's smile slowly disappeared. Her mother blinked several times. Neither of them spoke. One elderly businessman stepped forward carrying a beautifully carved wooden box. Mr. Chun, our chairman asked me to deliver this personally. He then turned toward Ava. And this? is for Mrs. Chun." He carefully opened the wooden box. Inside lay an exquisite diamond necklace that sparkled brightly under the morning sun. Every person standing nearby gasped. "It's beautiful," Ava whispered. The businessman smiled respectfully. "Our chairman hopes Mrs. Chun will accept this small wedding gift." "A small gift?" Chloe almost shouted. "Do you know how much that necklace is worth?" The businessman looked at her politely. "I do. It was purchased for $28 million. The entire yard fell into complete silence. Chloe's face turned pale. Her mother stared at the necklace without blinking. Ava quickly looked toward Ethan. "I can't accept something this expensive." Ethan smiled gently. "If it's a gift from an old friend, accept it." The businessman nodded immediately. "Mr. Chun is right. It would make our chairman very happy." Just then another businessman stepped forward. He bowed respectfully. "Mr. Chun, the overseas investment agreement is ready. We only need your signature." Another person stepped forward. "Our new resort project also needs your approval." A third person spoke. "The board meeting has been moved until you're available." One after another, people waited patiently for Ethan's decision. No one interrupted him. No one rushed him. Everyone treated him with complete respect. Chloe slowly turned toward Ava. Her voice shook. Who exactly did you marry?" Before Ava could answer, Ethan quietly took her hand. He smiled softly. "I'm still the same man. I just happened to farm." At that very moment, another black car slowly stopped outside the gate. The driver hurried to open the rear door. An elderly man stepped out. The moment every businessman saw him, they immediately bowed. "Chairman." The old man ignored everyone else. He walked straight toward Ethan, then smiled warmly before looking at Ava. "So, you must be the young woman who finally stole his heart." The entire courtyard fell silent. Even Chloe realized this was only the beginning of a truth far bigger than she had ever imagined. The entire courtyard fell silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Everyone watched as the elderly man slowly walked toward Ethan. His silver hair shone under the morning sun, and although he looked gentle, every businessman standing behind him lowered his head with deep respect. He stopped in front of Ethan and smiled. "I've been asking you to visit me for months. You always say you're too busy." Ethan smiled politely. "The farm has kept me occupied." The old man laughed. "You still call it a farm? If people heard you, they'd think you owned a few fields instead of one of the biggest agricultural businesses in the country." The businessmen around them laughed quietly. Chloe felt her knees weaken. She slowly turned to her mother. Did he just say one of the biggest businesses in the country?" Her mother could not answer. She was staring at Ethan as though she had never seen him before. The chairman turned toward Ava with a warm smile. "So, you're the young lady who finally convinced him to get married." Ava nodded politely. "It's nice to meet you, sir." "The pleasure is mine." He handed her a small red envelope. "This is a wedding blessing from an old friend. I hope you won't refuse." Ava looked at Ethan. He smiled gently. "Take it." She accepted it with both hands. "Thank you." The chairman looked at Ethan again. "You've hidden your identity for long enough. Everyone keeps asking why the owner of the Chun Group refuses to appear in public. I think it's time." Ethan smiled calmly. "Not today. I promised my wife a peaceful life." The chairman nodded with understanding. "I expected that answer." Then he turned toward Chloe and her mother. His smile disappeared. "You two have been making quite a scene." Neither woman dared to speak. The chairman continued. "I've worked with Mr. Chun for over 10 years. I've never seen him use his position to bully anyone. But today, I watched you insult his family." Chloe quickly forced a smile. "There must be some misunderstanding. We didn't know who he was." The chairman's eyes became cold. "So if he had truly been poor, you believe your behavior would have been acceptable?" Chloe's face turned pale. She had no answer. The chairman slowly shook his head. "Wealth shows what a person owns. Character shows who a person is. You may have money, but compared to this family, you are the poor ones." The words struck harder than a slap. Ava quietly looked at Ethan. He remained calm from beginning to end. He never tried to embarrass anyone. He never raised his voice. He simply stood beside her. Just then another luxury car entered the courtyard. The driver hurried out and opened the back door. A middle-aged man stepped out in a dark suit. The moment Ava saw him, her smile disappeared. It was her father. Mr. Carter looked around nervously before finally seeing Ethan. Without hesitation, he walked forward. To everyone's surprise, He bowed deeply. Mr. Chun, I came to apologize. Chloe's eyes widened. Dad, what are you doing? Mr. Carter ignored her. He looked at Ava instead. His voice trembled. Ava, I was wrong. I failed you. I should never have let you leave that house. For a long moment, Ava said nothing. She remembered every lonely meal, every insult, every tear, every time she had hoped her father would stand beside her. He never had. Now, he wanted forgiveness. Not because he had finally understood her pain, but because he had finally learned who Ethan really was. She looked into his eyes. I waited many years to hear those words. Mr. Carter lowered his head. I'm sorry. Ava's voice remained calm. I forgive you. Hope appeared on his face. But, she continued, forgiveness doesn't erase the past. And it doesn't mean I can return. Mr. Carter slowly closed his eyes. He understood. He had lost his daughter long before she walked out of his house. The silence lasted several seconds. Then Ethan gently reached for Ava's hand. He spoke quietly. My wife has already made her decision. Please respect it. Mr. Carter nodded sadly. I will. Without another word, he turned and slowly walked back toward his car. For the first time, his back looked older than ever. Chloe hurried after him. Dad, we're really leaving? He stopped beside the car. Yes. What about the investment? Mr. Carter looked at her with disappointment. Some things are worth more than money. We learned that lesson too late. The Carter family's cars slowly drove away. Not one of them looked back. The courtyard became peaceful once again. The businessmen quietly returned to discussing work with Ethan. Martha smiled as she slipped her arm through Ava's. I told you. My son would never let anyone bully you. Ava smiled. I know. She looked at Ethan. He had never once mentioned his wealth. He had never tried to impress her. He had simply loved her with patience, respect, and kindness. At that moment, she realized she had never fallen in love with the richest man in the country. She had fallen in love with the man who noticed when she looked at a scarf for 1 minute, who filled the garden with flowers because she smiled, who remembered every promise, and who always came home. As everyone prepared to leave, one of Ethan's assistants suddenly hurried through the gate. His face was unusually serious. Mr. Chun, what is it? The assistant lowered his voice. The overseas branch just called. Our biggest competitor has officially entered the country. They've already started buying land around Pine Valley. They also know. He glanced at Ava before continuing. They know Mrs. Chun is your wife. Ethan's calm expression finally changed. What do they want? The assistant took a slow breath. They sent a message. What message? He looked directly at Ethan. They said, if you refuse to sell your company, they'll start by destroying the people you love most. The smile disappeared from Ava's face. Ethan quietly tightened his grip on her hand. For the first time since they met, a shadow crossed his eyes. The battle that had just ended was only the beginning.
And that is where our story ends for today.